Okay, everybody, let's recap the lesson. So today, what we really want to do is, again, use right triangle trig, but this time we're going to use it to find a missing angle. So, in our calculator, there is our sine, cosine, and tangent. But these little blue sine -1, cosine -1, and tangent -1, those are the buttons you push whenever you want to find an angle. So if you want to find an angle, you push sine inverse, that's what's called, cosine inverse, or tangent inverse. Those are the buttons. So we're going to push sine inverse, cosine inverse, or tangent inverse to find a degree or an angle, right? So first of all, degree mode, because if you're in the wrong mode, then you're not going to get an angle in degrees. You have to be in degree mode. And then from there, let's check it out. So here we go. First question, sine inverse. That's in blue on my calculator. So it's the second sine inverse. Okay, that's the button I want to push. 0.5, and I get 30. Well, that's an angle. That's 30 degrees. Okay, 30 degrees. Hold on, there we go. And then from here, what does that represent? Well, if we have a triangle and we want to find the angle, and sine, of course, is always the opposite over the hypotenuse. That the sine says, opposite over hypotenuse. So I know the opposite side is 1 and the hypotenuse is 2. And if I want to find that angle there, I do the same thing. I go sine inverse, because I'm looking for the angle of my opposite over my hypotenuse. So I did that. And it's the exact same answer, isn't it? So I'm finding the angle. Actually, I'll just do it that way. Sine inverse of 1 divided by 2. So you see it's the same answer, okay? So I'm looking for the angle. I always push that button when I'm looking for an angle. Got a 30-degree angle, okay? So then we looked at example 4, and we want to find angle A. So here's angle A. This side is my opposite. This is my adjacent, and this is my hypotenuse. I don't know anything about my hypotenuse. I don't care. I don't need to, because I have my opposite and I have my adjacent. So I know opposite adjacent is tangent, which is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Well, I need to find the angle. So I've used this tangent inverse, that's what that symbol means, of 15 over 8, or opposite over adjacent. And so if I did it on my calculator, I go to simply tangent inverse of 15 divided by 8. I got about a 61.9 degree angle. So that's 61.9 degrees. Okay? All right, I'll turn the page and we'll take a look at actually solving a triangle, okay? So if I want to solve this triangle, and again, I already solved it, but let's say we don't know this angle, okay? Just ignore that, okay? I want to find angle I. To find angle I, there's my adjacent, 12, my hypotenuse is 16. So I said, okay, I find angle I. So adjacent hypotenuse, I do cosine. And it's got to be the 12, which is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. It's right there, Jorgen. Yep. And so again, I'm looking for the angle. So instead of cosine, it's cosine inverse, right? So I want cosine inverse of the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And I use my calculator. I just went cosine inverse of my 12 divided by 16. I get an answer of about 41.4. Awesome. Okay. Now, if we want to find the other angle, we chose to use, if we want to find the opposite, which is I, we chose to use opposite and adjacent. So we chose to use tangent. You could use sine or cosine. You could even use Pythagoras theorem. My class just chose to do the opposite over the adjacent. So we used tangent. And we went tangent of 41 because we're not looking for the angle. We know the angle. And that's going to be then multiplied by 12. Multiplied by 12. That should be a 12. And then we did 12 times tangent of 41. 41.4. We got an answer of about 10.6. Okay? So we knew the angle. We knew the angle. We did not push the inverse. Okay, now this angle's easy because these two add up to 90, and I did that work right down here, okay? All right, last but not least, we got wheelchair ramp. To be in code, this angle has to be 6 degrees or less, okay? Well, we know this ramp that we built is 54 inches on the ramp. We know the height of the ramp is 8. Well, let's see what we have. From the angle, we know the opposite. We know the hypotenuse. It has to be sine. Sine is opposite of hypotenuse, but I need the angle. So anytime you need the angle, I need to use the inverse. So I went and did that. I went sine inverse. I need the inverse of my 8 divided by 54. It's about an 8.5 degree angle. It's too big, so we're going to have to rebuild this ramp. So tear it down. No, this one does not work. Rebuild a new ramp and make this smaller. Okay, that's the lesson. If you have any questions, please come and see me. I'm available during Flex always. Homework was a worksheet lesson 9-6.